stays high in the middle of the corner, runs a higher line, which typically sees some other people are right on that white line.
A little bit of a wiggle there.
And you'll tend to run high if it's loose.
Yeah, as
you don't want to pinch it down if it's loose. That's an indicator that I don't want to turn more than I have to.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do when the car is loose at the rear is turn the wheel.
Yep. But you have to 4 times.
But the flip side of it, if you want to be super duper fast around here, the least amount that you're turning that wheel takes scrub off of it. You know, it doesn't have as much scrub. If it's turning in, you can make it work.
Checkered flag. Vitor Meira completes his qualifying run. 4th lap is 224.100, and the average is 224.033. He is P20. And the no brake indicator on the steering wheel is from Paul Tracy.
The reason there is that obviously you don't use the brakes during qualifying, but you want to be sure they stay off of the rotors and don't cause any drag. So they actually push them back to be sure there's no drag whatsoever.
No other car in line to qualify. Paul is very quotable, and we picked up a quote that he had regarding the amount of time that we have had with good running conditions here. Killing time is killing me. Frustrating part is we've had a bit of running. I tasted the meat. Now I'm back in my cage, and there's a whole carcass outside of reach.
Oh, PT. Good for PT.
So Tracy had the car pop out of gear earlier in 6 starts here at Indianapolis. His best finish was in 2002 when he came in second to Elio Castroneves. He's had a 226.3 earlier in the month. Let's see what he can do when the chips are down and he's out there qualifying. Jack?
Paul Tracy will be the first to admit that getting back here to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway 1 year ago helped him considerably. But this year he's been reunited, as you guys have talked about before, with Barry Green. The two of them experienced so much success together, but they were like the odd couple. I asked them, I said, you guys weren't afraid to get up in each other's grill? And they said, yep, but we also knew and respected that both of us had a passion for what we do.
And that relationship that they have and that communication from talking from pit stand to the driver with being successful, that just puts you ahead before you even get to race day, and the green flag is having that.
A lot of bottoming, a lot of sparks. You would assume that would go away as the tire pressures and temperatures come up, but he's on the green here. You don't want to be dragging the car around the track.
223.998 first lap.
Ooh, another one that doesn't, another driver that doesn't like that white line. Now, he's been doing that not just today. He's been doing that throughout, just driving high everywhere.
I mean, that's what we expect from Paul Tracy too. I mean, he's not just quotable. Part of why his quotes are out there is the same way he drives. I mean, he lays it all out there.
Yep. Barry Green, of course, a brother of Kim Green, who was an owner with Michael Andretti until this year. Let's see what he does on lap number 2. Paul Tracy, it is 223.921.
Backs it up. Car looked pretty stable, so he ran that same line. Pretty much the car was in the same place as it was the lap before.
He was the 2003 Champ Car World Series champion, Paul Tracy. In turn number 4.
Just slotted back there to P23 as he came off of turn 4.
223.856. Each lap has been a little bit slower.
And just amazing, you're at the end of the line, and Paul Tracy may be the first KB racing car to actually get a qualifying time in and get something going. As we heard from Kevin Kalkoven, this just come off the tracks.
Yes. And remember, he was the second guy out. If he would have gone out his designated time and not come out of gear, he probably would have been a lot faster because he had just gotten off the track an hour earlier this morning when the track temperature was, not even 80 degrees.
He's looking to bump Ryan Hunter-Reay out of the top 19, or 24 rather, and the fourth lap is 2:23.651. The average 2:23.856. He does bump out Ryan Hunter-Reay, but he himself is now the second slowest in the field. Anna Beatrice is the slowest at the moment, then Tracy and A.J. Foyt the fourth. So the line has been completed. Everybody has had an opportunity to qualify if they wanted to, and we assume now the track is going to open for practice a little bit. We're about 2 hours and 13 minutes away from the closure of the track and the pole shootout at Indy. And we have 24 in the field. That's all that will qualify today. Several have been bumped. We'll tell you about them in a moment. But here are the ones that have qualified and successfully. Tagliani, the quickest at 2:26.329. Those drivers that you see there may move into the shootout if there is no change in the top 9. Justin Wilson is 10th fastest at 2:25. Danica Patrick having a real struggle, as Marco Andretti is, both of them in that area there. And then Anna Beatrice is the slowest in the field at the moment at 2:23.7. Paul Tracy, who just qualified, is second slowest at 2:23.8. Jack Arute is in the IZOD Pit Performance Center.
And I got to tell you, Bob, in the 26 years that I've covered the Indianapolis 500 in pole position qualifying, this is absolutely the most fun that I've had. And one of the reasons is because we're able to analyze some things. These are the P1 through P9 as we stand right now. Now look at Ed Carpenter's speed, 225.166 miles per hour. Justin Wilson and Mario Moraes are within 1/10 of a mile an hour of being able to take Ed Carpenter and move him right out of the top 9. So what is it going to take? This is where I think you've got to really be careful in terms of strategy. What you're going to need to do is watch the weather, watch the cloud cover. If you're back there and you're Wilson and you're Moraes, as soon as you see some cloud cover and the fact that we don't have that tech sled that we used to have, I get in that chute, I go out, I try to get my 4 laps and see if I can find the miles per hour to get me into P9 so that I can move on at 4:30 this afternoon. Lindy?
Following Paul Tracy here, and he's right now 23rd on the chart. And Paul, I heard you say this was pretty much the worst possible time you could have gone out.
Yeah, definitely frustrating for the whole KV team and Geico. I mean, we've had such a good week and everything's been going to plan, and then today it's like the wheels fell off the cart, with Sato crashing this morning, and we had a gearbox problem, and Mario crashing in his qualifying run, and EJ having a gearbox problem. So, that was a pretty conservative setup, hoping we could run 224. We were right on the cusp of that, but, it's not fast enough, and we're going to have to come back out and try it again.
How do you keep focused when things like that are going on with the whole team? It can't be easy.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's you just got to stay calm and let the team do their work. But, today it's like the wheels fell off it today, so it's definitely frustrating.
And so your issue this morning when you went back and looked ended up being the gearbox?
Yeah, I went from 4th to 5th gear for top gear for my qualifying run, and got a neutral, and it looks like that happened to EJ as well.
We'll see you back out here?
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul. Okay, thanks.
And a little bit later in the program, Jack Arute will have his famous in-color interview with Barry Green and Paul Tracy. But when we come back, Jack Arute will be talking to the guy who is currently P1. That, of course, is Alex Tagliani. And so we'll be back with that in just a moment from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Motor Speedway, it is peak pole day here at the greatest spectacle in racing, leading up to the running next week of the Indianapolis 500. You're going to hear cars out on the racetrack because for the first time since 11 o'clock this morning, the track is open for practice. Joining me now in P1. Now, years ago, they would have said he was the provisional pole winner. But Alex Tagliani went out early And because of the new chase at 4:30, where you actually go for the pole, you get seated in P1 and then have to do it all over again. But what about that run? Tell me first about the weather conditions, and then we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, there's some very competitive cars, obviously, because I think the weather has affected the performance of the car, obviously.